Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are covering Antonio Conte's 3-5-2 and I'm going to show you what Thomas Tuchel should have done with Romelu Lukaku. We're going to look at Romelu Lukaku's couple of his statistics from this 2 seasons, his last 2 seasons. He's obviously his unsuccessful spell at Chelsea and then the 2020-21 season he had with Inter Milan, where under Antonio Conte, Inter Milan won the scudetto. Now, predominantly a 3-5-2. They've shifted a little bit between a 3-1-4-2 and a 3-4-1-2. But generally, we're going to look at sort of like a 3-5-2 with maybe the Brozovic role just sitting a slightly deeper. So that is what we're going to look at today. What I'd appreciate as well, if you smash a like on today's video, let me know down in the comments what you think of Lukaku. Was he the worst signing in Premier League history? Did Tuchel get it wrong? I'm of the thing it was a little bit of both. I don't think he quite wanted perhaps to maybe to leave Inter Milan in the first place. The whole system built towards him wasn't great at Chelsea. We're going to speak about that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Smash a like on today's video as well and subscribe to the channel for weekly tactic recreations. Next week we are looking at the Netherlands 1974 total football tactic. It's a crazy tactic. It's been a lot of fun putting together, so make sure you're subscribed. And Sunday, we have a new FM22 save starting on the channel. We are going to Argentina to manage Newell's Old Boys, so make sure you are subscribed for that. All right, with that being said, let's get into it. Links down in the description, takes you over to FM Scout as well, where you can download this tactic. And by all means, let me know down in the comments how it works for you. All right, let's get into today's iconic tactic. We are looking at Inter Milan's Antonio Conte's 3-5-2, the scudetto title win of 2021. Let's go. All right, guys, here we are. We're using the tactical pad just to show you a few little clips. Now, here we are. Generally, a 3-5-2. The main role we're going to kind of look at today is obviously Lukaku. The most interesting and more debatable role is the role of the other midfielder. They would normally line up in a 3 with Brozovic, Barella, and then a +1. Eriksen we're going to use today in the video. However, there's arguments that you could change it to a ball-winning midfielder or a box-to-box midfielder, depending on who played, like a Gagliardini, Sensi, and the other one, Vidal, in particular in there. But Eriksen played towards the end of the season when they kind of moved away from the title race with Juventus and ended up clinching the title. Eriksen did play a lot of games, in particular starts. He would not always finish them, but he would get a good 50, 60, 70 minutes in a lot of those last sort of like 10, 15 games of the season. Now, a few little things that we're going to look at. Build up from the back generally was outshot. Obviously playing with a back three of Bastoni, Di Frigg and Skriniar, all very good at moving the ball. So often Handanovic would play out from the back. They would also have a fourth option in Brozovic. However, what they did like to do was play through the lines very quickly. So if there was a high press from the opponent, instead of going to the back three or a Brozovic, sometimes they would go straight into a Perisic, into a Hakimi, who were very direct, very quick at getting the ball and progressing through the thirds. Build-up is generally pretty quick. They would get the ball, play short, but they would go through the lines, work sort of like in between the lines, in the half spaces. Eriksen, Barella were often move around. Brozovic, very good at breaking, sort of like line-breaking passes, progressive passes. Into then the front boys of Martinez and Lukaku. Now I'm going to show you the 2 heat maps. One of Chelsea's last season with Lukaku, obviously very static. A lot of stuff around sort of like the centre circle and the penalty box. Obviously, Chelsea generally played with a 3-4-3 and I think he found it quite isolated at times. They also were quite slow and methodical in build-up. They didn't have the sheer pace out wide that he had at Inter in Hakimi and Perisic. Obviously, Chilwell was injured a lot. James was injured a lot. So often they would look at Alonso and Azpilicueta. Very, not the quickest of players. So I think that kind of slowed it down. In the middle of the midfield as well. No one of the Barella kind of quality. Kante struggled, didn't have them sort of like breaking runs, the box-to-box midfielder kind of role that we expected or we've been used to seeing from Kante. I think that then slowed the pace down and often Lukaku would have to wait for balls coming into him. Generally 2 centre-halves around him, maybe quite isolated at times. It would often just act as a poacher as well, and he's a lot more than that. And I think if they would have maybe played with a 3-5-2 and maybe just played him up there with Tino Werner, they will have got a lot more out of Romelu Lukaku. Interestingly as well with Lukaku, as you can see with his heat map at Inter, a lot of movement out on that right-hand side. And as you can see from his goal map, this is his goal map from his Inter Milan winning season. His 18 league goals, I think 18 non-penalty goals, should I say. 14 of them were on the right-hand side of the box. Well, right-hand side of the pitch. So we're definitely looking at Lukaku working those right channels, the right half space, and linking up with the right-hand side of Hakimi and Barella. So that's what we're going to look at today. And as you can see, focus of attacks as well for Inter Milan, very much down that right-hand side. So hopefully we can put a tactic together to work in our favour. We need to counter-attack as well. Very good at counter-attacking. One little thing they would do, they would sit in to make a 5. They would get the narrow 3 in of the 3 midfielders. And then Lukaku and Martinez would also drop off. And they would try and stop balls coming into sort of like the deep line playmaker, the number 6 for the other teams. Now, what this did do was allow a lot of space out wide. So teams would often push fullbacks on. But with that, it would leave massive spaces in the right and left channel for Inter Milan, in particular Lukaku and Martinez, to a counter-attack. So what we're looking at here is a breakdown in play. Maybe Brozovic or a centre-half has got the ball. Skriniar and Bastoni were very good at moving balls into the channels. And then what we would have is these huge spaces out on these wings, in particular for Lukaku to work his magic. He would often get a 1v1 because of maybe a left wing back moving up, a left full back moving up. He would get 1v1 against the central defender. He would get a run on him, get into the penalty area, and then he would have 2 choices. Take it himself, which he did a lot, or tee up his strike partner, Martinez, who is absolutely fantastic in front of goal. So those are the things that we're going to look at today. We're going to try and keep them as narrow as possible. We're going to try and hit the channels. We're going to let the play out from the back when we can. We're obviously going to push Hakimi and Perisic on. I want Brozovic to sit in front of the middle of the back 3. Just in front of the back 3. Get on the ball. Can he play some progressive passes as well? I don't want him boring as a halfback, just ticking things over. He's exceptional on progressing the ball, so we want him to be dictating play a little bit, and we want Barella moving into these half spaces, this right channel, and making a lethal combination, a lethal triangle with Lukaku and Hakimi. All right, guys, let's go over to now Football Manager and let's see how it looks in the game. Okay, now, this is how I have set them up. So, first of all, we have got Handanovic, sweeper keeper on support. No player instructions. Right-hand side, left-hand side, ball-playing defenders in Skriniar and Bastoni. We put that on just because when you put the players as ball-playing defenders, they just will work. Remember, we want those balls going in the channels a little bit because we'll often get a 2v2, 2 strikers against the 2 centre-halves. So we want to try and use that the best we possibly can. Help us counter-attack as well. I think as well, with the back 3 that they have in Bastoni, De Vrij and Skriniar, very good in the air. And because they're so good in the air, they would allow space out wide. They would sometimes allow crosses coming into the box and let those 3 big central defenders defend, head the ball out, clear it out, get the ball down and then play. So those are the 3 defenders. We've got De Vrij just on a cover just so we can work a little bit of a triangle out from the back. Obviously, we're playing with Goossens in this. It was more Perisic during that season, but we've got Goossens, the left-hand side, wing-back on attack. Wing-back on attack on that right-hand side as well. I've not gone complete wing-back because I don't want them to roam from position. I want them to be very aggressive and very wide. So that's why we've gone attacking. Brozovic in the number 6 role. I've got him tackle harder, very good without the ball. He's not just there as a sort of like a Pirlo role. He's there to get the ball back, very good at breaking things up. So we've got him as a deep line playmaker on support rather than just a defensive midfielder because I do want him to once again to try and break lines with passes. In particular on support as well, take more risks is a key part of what the player instructions for that. The Eriksen role, this is the one that you could change to a box-to-box ball-winning midfielder. I think depending on your opponents as well, you could change this to whatever you wanted. I think that role's a little bit free because it was very flexible depending on the opponents they had. Often when they would play against teams with a low ball, Eriksen would come in there. Vidal would sometimes play against the bigger sides as well. Sensi would also go in there at certain points during the season. Mazzala on attack. Now we've put it on attack. I've asked him also to run wide with the ball because we want him going into these right areas to work with the right-hand side who would have been Hakimi. It's now obviously Dumfries in the 2021-22 season. And then up front, we've got Lukaku. We've got him on the right-hand side, remember, because we wanted to work that right-hand channel. I don't think he's a target forward or a target support or anything like that because I think that movement's a little bit too static. I think target man was more what he did at Chelsea. We want him to do a little bit of everything. Yes, we want him to hold the ball up, but we want him to act as a bit of an advance forward. Can he work the channels? So I think complete forward and attack really suits Lukaku. Run wide with the ball and stay wider just so we can work that right channel, exploit that full back. We're going to see some balls coming into the box. Lukaku would often pull off the centre halves and try and win it and try and dominate the full back rather than being stood in front of the two centre halves like he kind of did a little bit too much at Chelsea. And then on the left-hand side, we've got Martinez. I was going to do it as a pressing forward, but I looked at his pressing stats and his pressures during that season, and they weren't amazing. So we've just gone for advanced forward with the player instruction of shoot more often. There is the lineup. Now, I don't know if this is controversial or not. You'll let me know down in the comments. We've gone for attacking mentality, mainly because the mentality, it's basically just what it says. I'm not quite sure how the difference and what the game does when you move them up one at a time in terms of positive and attacking, but how this reads, I think it suits Inter Milan during that season pretty well. In particular, it aims to exploit space in the final third by employing a fast tempo and a more direct passing. So that's what we want. We want to still try and get the ball down, get the balls into the centre halves, play through the thirds, get into Brozovic, get into Barella, but we want to do it quickly. And when we get the opportunity to counter in that final third, we'll go quite quick and we'll go quite direct at times, but also there's an option to recycle the ball in possession. So I think it really does suit how Conte set the side up. In possession, we're going pass into space because we want to work those two half spaces, those two channels that has been left by the fullbacks. Cross early, most crosses I think into the yard during that season, so we're crossing early, especially with the quality of Perisic and Hakimi. We want that crossing as much as possible. Directness, passing, we've just gone for standards, just so it gives us a little bit of a variation between short and direct. Higher tempo, obviously we want to move that ball through the thirds, playing out from the back as well. Nothing else clicked, obviously with an attacking width of just wide, but nothing clicked in here. In transition, initial counter press, but then what we'll show is we've just dropped the defensive line just a little bit. Distribute to centre backs, distribute quickly, and then obviously counter, so good at countering. Out of possession, we've gone for just a standard line of engagement, just so we can bring that back a little bit in terms of making sure that Lukaku and Martinez are a little bit narrower because we're forcing opposition out wide and try and stop the ball going through the middle of the pitch. We want that ball to go out wide, and then we're happy to deal with any crosses that come into the box. Just a higher line, get stuck in, use tighter marking as well. That is how we've got them set up. Now, more importantly, in the opposition instructions, in positions, what I've done is I've not done a trigger press. So we're not trigger pressing the goalkeeper at any point, and we're not triggering the centre half. Remember, we want them just to sit off a little bit, the two strikers. So then it allows the fullbacks to move forward. It breaks the press up as well. At sometimes if you press. Inter Milan did drop off onto that standard line a little bit, that little bit of a mid block. So that's why we've done that, and hopefully that will allow us to counter attack a little bit more. Okay, that is the tactic. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I imagine you want to see, we've done a little simulation, but first, I'm just going to show you a couple of clips of how it works in the match engine. Okay, so the first highlight is just winning the ball back. Lukaku on the score sheet, working that right side. Obviously on that right-hand side, Barella wins the ball. It's a quick pass in, and in goes Lukaku. Very quick, very fast, very quick counter-attack as well. Getting the ball back. Barella is so good, even though he's Mazzala on attack, very good at winning the ball back. He's a little bit of everything, Barella. Very aggressive in sort of like the press. Very good at carrying the ball, breaking up play, and obviously he's got the vision as well to pass into Lukaku, working off that 1v1, remember? So what we've done is we've allowed that fullback to come forward. We've nicked it off him, the space then to exploit that 1v1. Lukaku against that centre half. No one wants a 1v1 situation with Lukaku, especially when he's running at you. So we did that perfectly in that goal there. Okay, here's a perfect example of building out from the back. So here we go, Skriniar has got a little bit of space to drive into. It's quick. Once we get going as well, it's very quick. A couple of quick passes. Lukaku working that right-hand side, exploiting. I think what it does do is just open, if we just go back a little bit, working this little triangle with Barella and Hakimi getting involved. And then to be fair, the pick out from Barella is absolutely exceptional. Obviously, Martinez playing as an advanced forward on that left-hand side. And I think the good thing about these two strikers is they're absolutely clinical in front of goal. But a really good highlight just to show you the quick passing, the higher tempo, working through the lines, just a couple of 1, 2, 3 quick passes. Off we go, get those two front players in on goal. Okay, right, here we are, some goals, a Lukaku hat-trick. A lot of things we noticed as well. Remember what we said with Chelsea, as he just headed it in at the back stick there. At Chelsea, he was very static, that heat map in the middle of those two centre-halves. When he was at Inter Milan, a little bit different because it was a 2-up. He would often come out to this right-hand side a little bit more. And then because of the height, the physicality advantage he normally has over fullbacks, he's able to score plenty of goals at the back stick. That was the equaliser. And then only a few minutes later, as you can see, the movement of Lukaku, I think he's there, look, highlighted. And he just drifts off to that far stick, look. And then dink at the back stick, and once again he's exploiting the fullback. You will score plenty of goals with that. Remember, stay wider instruction on that complete forward. I think this is a header, very good from set pieces. Actually, I will link a video down in the description, all the goals from their season, a YouTube video, if you want to go check out the amount of goals that they've scored during that season and the type of goals. A lot of goals did come from set pieces. And then the final one, Lukaku for his hat-trick. Nice little bit of movement coming off, getting involved. Barella touches. Ambrosini's now playing as the right wing back, but working that right channel again. Remember that heat map, that goal map from that season where he was a lot of these goals on the right hand side. A couple of quick passes, a nice little pass from Hakimi, who's nice and high and wide. Little pass in, an absolute brutal finish for his hat trick. And then the final game I'm going to show you is just a 4-1 win. This is following on from the 4-1 against Fiorentina. We went 1-0 down again against Benfica in the Champions League, but we got another hat-trick from Lukaku. Here we go. Left back getting very high. Martinez in there. Lukaku at the back stick. Plenty of tappings during that title-winning season for him. Lukaku this time just dropping off. They would often take it in turns. Sometimes it was Lukaku because he was a little bit more bigger, a little bit more physical than Martinez. Martinez perhaps maybe a little bit quicker. Lukaku would often drop off, get the ball on the half turn, and then Martinez is in and he's absolutely lethal in front of goal. He's Lautaro Martinez. It's getting us, putting us 2-1 ahead. And this time again, getting involved, complete forward, building up play. Lovely little passing sequence. And once again, Lukaku on that right-hand side, exploiting the space between fullbacks and centre-halves. Don't worry, it was onside. And then this one is absolutely brilliant. This is the best goal of the lot to finish with. Obviously, this is from a corner. We've won the ball. We've got a 2v1. And this is Lukaku in his absolute prime, isn't it? You can just imagine him doing this. Just going himself, getting it onto his favoured left foot and smashing it into the bottom corner. All right, guys, those are the highlights. I'm just going to very quickly show you the simulation, just show you how the tactic has done. Remember, I'm not building these tactics to try and break the match engine. This is trying to be a close copy of what Antonio Conte did with this Inter Milan side, but the tactic has worked pretty well in FM. Okay, so there you are. We have won the league. We simulated the next sort of like 30-odd games. I think I'd played the first 3 Cup, 1 Champions League, and I've simulated the rest using the tactic, making sure that Lukaku played on that right-hand side and Martinez played on that left-hand side. Everyone else was up to the assistant manager to sort of like rotate the squad, but I wanted them to, in particular, because obviously we're looking at Lukaku, making sure that he gets as much time in that right-hand side as possible. So there you go, 30 out of 38 wins, 3 draws, 5 defeats. Only 27 goals conceded, 92 goals scored. What did Romelu Lukaku do? He scored 46 goals in 50 games, 34 goals in Serie A in 36 games. An incredible season for the big man. There you go. That just shows what can be done. I imagine he's going to have that similar impact at Inter Milan for the new season. Martinez helped himself to 37 in particular as well. Interestingly as well, Skriniar, 15. Çalhanoğlu, who's like the Ericsson role, 25 assists for the season. Absolutely incredible. Gosens, 14 assists on that left-hand side. Obviously, that is the Gosens/Perisic role. And Denzel Dumfries, their Hakimi role. Little bit of a downgrade on Hakimi, but Denzel Dumfries, I would like to actually see him at Man United. Denzel Dumfries, but 10 assists for him during the season is pretty good. So, there you go, boys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you use it. Go plug it in. I'm thinking I might use this in my Newell's All Boys Save, which is starting this Sunday, so make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Thanks for watching. Links down, take you over to FM Scout, and as I said, let me know down in the comments how this tactic works for you. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next week. Netherlands 1974 team. That's an absolute beauty. Alright guys, take care. See you later.